The Tudor Pelagos 39, it has of course been out now for a week. The launch of Tudor's latest watch caused a massive stir, and obviously by now there are dozens of YouTube videos out there, but this video is going to be different because guys, I really like it and I would go straight out to the authorized dealer and buy this watch, except I can't. When Hans Wilsdorf, the guy who founded Rolex, set up Tudor, it was supposed to be the more accessible, the more affordable, premium quality alternative to Rolex. Tudor was supposed to tailor for the more common man. So why is it that Tudor are now engaging in the same games as Rolex play with Waitlists?
It's just another Pelagos. It is very much a Pelagos, but it is different. You can use it as a Pelagos, of course, or you can use it completely otherwise.
For me, in the Tudor catalogue, it's probably the most original Tudor. It is a Tudor that isn't trying to be anything else, or really, in my opinion, isn't trying to directly copy the rest of Rolex's collection, which is something that, guys, I feel in the last year or two, Tudor have been going down that line too much of becoming a homage brand of Rolex. And I was kind of worried that with the release of the Tudor Ranger, which obviously is pretty much a one-to-one exact rip-off of the old 39mm Explorer 1. We saw the Black Bay Pro as well, which what seemed as well to be an exact rip-off of the Rolex Explorer 2, and so on and so forth. There are many watches in the Tudor catalogue which for me do not get me excited, because I would frankly rather have the better real Rolex version. But the Pelagos line is something which was quite unique. I always wanted one, but the biggest problem for me was it was just too big. And my God, there's been so many watches over the years, Breitlings particularly. I've never owned a Breitling, I've always liked them, but they've always been a little bit too big for my wrist. And you know, at the end of the day, you can love a watch to bits, but if it just doesn't wear right and it doesn't fit, then you can only ever admire it from in the shop window. For the price point, it's magic, quite frankly. £3,500 here in the UK. There's been more attention to detail and thinking with the dial. It is a new idea, a new take on sunburst dials, sunburst but with a matte finish, so it's a very subtle design feature that you won't notice unless you look. And if you're like me, I'm always there sort of staring at my watches. I'll glance at my watch and sometimes get lost in its gaze like it's a lover. You know, and that's how it is. Our hobby, we're weirdos. I would have gone straight out and bought it because at £3,500, you know, it isn't going to be an investment piece, but it's going to be a piece that I love and I'm going to buy because I love it. However, you can't. You know, this didn't come as a surprise to me that straight away I heard that many enthusiasts and collectors who want this watch had been calling their authorized dealer, even if they had an established relationship with them, only to learn that they would have to go on a wait list and that no, sorry, you can't get that watch right now, and you're probably going to be waiting at least 6 months to get hold of it. As we've seen before with other brands such as Omega, when the latest Speedmaster Moon watch that came out was updated with a new movement, I remember that at the Omega authorized dealers, the stock was there. The stock was there almost immediately to satisfy that demand. So clearly, Omega were planning the launch of this new watch, their flagship model. They knew the demand would be there. They made sure that they manufactured the supply before they even made the announcement. And now it seems that other brands are instead playing this game of waitlisting. Now, clearly for me, this is a game that they're playing. It is artificial. If they wanted to, they could potentially satisfy that demand straight away, if not within a couple of weeks for the Tudor Pelagos 39, but they are artificially holding those pieces back. They're holding those pieces back so that they can sustain the hype over a longer period of time, so that they can influence the secondary market, command premiums for the Tudor Pelagos 39. And already we're seeing on eBay that these watches, the lucky chosen few who have managed to get hold of them immediately from their authorized dealer, are selling them or trying to sell them on eBay for over £1,000 over the list price. So I've had a quick look at eBay. To my disgust, there are watches on there that people are asking £4,500 for. This isn't anything new. We're used to this with Rolex, and obviously other brands like Patek Philippe and the Royal Oak with Audemars Piguet. But these are luxury brands, guys. These are brands that have 10 times the demand of what Tudor do, and even though they are at a higher price point, we know that they have an investability aspect about them. They retain value much better in the long run than Tudor do. So they're investments, and Tudor absolutely aren't. I've made a video before and said that the amount of black bays that Tudor pump out every year means that they are probably the most common watch being traded on the secondary watch market. I get offered them almost every week because they're a good entry level point for people to trade their way up or work their way up to Rolex. And that's fine, because that was the point of Tudor. Now, it isn't just Tudor that we are seeing playing these games. I mentioned Omega earlier on with the Speedmaster Moonwatch. Immediately they satisfied that demand when that was launched 2 years ago. But as we know, the Omega Swatch collaboration, the Moon Swatch, I've said before, I don't really like it. It is plastic, it isn't luxury, it isn't even premium, but it's fun, and it's you know, at the price point it's at, around £350. Obviously, many people would buy one. I would buy one, and I wanted to buy one immediately when the launch happened, because that's when it grabbed my interest. Obviously, there have been significant lead times, massive lead times, in customers getting hold of those watches. Very much the same as getting hold of a Rolex. It's wrong. This isn't a luxury piece. It isn't at luxury price point, but it seems to me that a massive brand like Swatch, they can satisfy certainly more of the demand than they have been doing over the last 3 or 4 months since that was released. Yet they aren't. They are playing into the same game that Rolex have successfully done over the last few years. But I would say Rolex really have done it more innocently, because they don't want to increase the supply of watches that they make, because it will damage the exclusivity of them as a status symbol in society. Tudor don't have that. Swatch don't have that. So it's becoming common now, more commonplace in the industry. And this is what worries me, that actually it's going to go the other way, and it's going to alienate people even more to just say, yeah, I can't be bothered with this. Because, you know, when I got that phone call eventually for the Tudor Black Bay Pro, I really couldn't care less. You know, I'd forgotten about it. So they lost me. But guys, it's my responsibility to tell you, if you want the Tudor Pelagos 39, please do not be an idiot and pay £1,000 over retail, because I tell you now, within 6 months, yes, Tudor will satisfy that demand. They already can. The watches are probably already waiting in their factory. They've probably already been manufactured, ready to be pumped out once the hype has died down. I really don't like the fact that potentially less experienced collectors are actually going out and buying Tudor and watches like the Pelagos 39 right now on the secondary market and paying a premium for it, because they are seeing that this is a watch which is hard or impossible to get hold of, and assuming that because of that it has investment credibility. It is an asset. We run the risk of people less experienced falling into that trap of spending more on a Tudor and learning over time that nothing more is happening to that watch other than it falling in value, and actually alienating those new entrants, those new clientele to the marketplace, who thought that because it was difficult to get in the first place, that it always will be. Please remember to go check out beatthewaitlist-watches.com. That is the place to go for all of your secondary market needs. If you're looking to source a Rolex, any Rolex, we guarantee to beat the best price that you can find for an alternative Rolex on the market in the UK. Until next week, take care.